I'm hanging out with Kris and Alexis Dehnert. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with me this afternoon. And I know that you guys are quietly talking because the baby's sleeping, right?
Oh, yeah. Don't wait to bear.
Yeah, exactly. So tell me what you got going on, Kris. What are you working on these days?
I'm working on a lot of different things. My sweet spot, if you will, has been more of a deal broker as of late. Obviously, I did a lot with the whole Teespring thing, which you probably know a little bit about.
Yeah.
For years and years and years now. I've tried to fly under the radar with it, but I was one of the first sources of bringing that to Facebook 4 years back. But I've been still kind of playing with that a little bit, a lot of the e-commerce stuff, but more or less trying to like I said, broker the deals. Everyone's running around digging for gold. I like to sell shovels.
Right, exactly.
So whether it's merchant processing, fulfillment, any of the ancillary streams of income is typically what I like to do because that's I have a saying, I want to make money whether I wake up or not.
Right.
Which through some of the stuff we went through last year, which was kind of tough, but I want to make sure that the passive residuals are going on with or without me. So I've been spending most of my time over the last probably 12 months focusing on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Alexis, what do you have going on?
Well, our daughter just turned a year old in February, and back in September I decided to stay home and be a full-time mom, so that's been keeping me pretty busy.
Awesome.
And keeping the household, together.
Yeah.
That's a yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I hate to even say it's a job. People say that's the most important job you'll have. I don't like referring to being a mom and a wife as a job because, even though it's work, it doesn't, I don't know. I have my issues with that, but I love it. So tell me, we'll start with Kris. So I know that a lot of times people either they go into entrepreneurship young, like as a child, they're selling candy out of their locker, or they jump into it later in life after they've had a career, or maybe they're just trying to figure things out. So when did you become an entrepreneur?
How long is this interview? Actually, the funny part about it is I didn't realize it until I was in my late 20s. But once I realized what an entrepreneur did and was and thought like, it actually started back when I was in elementary school. I had my book bag and I would sell pencils, play pencil breaks and all this kind of stuff. So I'd sell pencils and the pencils did well. So then I diversified, right? I got into candy and I actually polled people to find out what kind of candy they wanted. So then I could talk my mom, now I'm into sales, taking me to Sam's Wholesale where I can get it at wholesale pricing. And then once all that started happening, other people started selling candy. This is no bullshit story. Like this really happened. They started selling candy and I'm like, I got to come up with something proprietary. Well, now I know what proprietary means. And I actually rode my bike up to the AT&T store where they would have all the extra wire left over doing jobs, and I would splice it. I had a little set of tools, and I would splice it open and wrap it up, and all the girls would make all the jewelry out of the wire.
Nice.
Where to go find it because my mom, she did some electrician work, and she said, you can go find it over here, and it was free. So 100% margin on that. So. And it just went on and on and on from there to the point where my mom literally, she's like, you're doing something wrong. I was coming home with like 10 to 20 bucks a day. And she's like, you got to stop this before you get expelled. So I held off getting expelled for a long, long time. It finally caught with me. Yeah. But, all in all, yeah, I think I started real early. It's been a good 25 years of hustle, I think, at this point.
Awesome. So how long have you guys been married?
Just over 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had our 3-year anniversary in March.
Awesome. So 3 years, Alexis. So he's always been an entrepreneur since you guys have been together, right? So
since we've been married.
Since we've been married.
Well, we've been together almost over 11 years.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you guys have some road together. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what has it been like for you, Alexis, in the married to or being with an entrepreneur?
It's been hard seeing how, I grew up, my parents both are 9-to-5 jobs, save your money, put some away for retirement and everything. So at first, when you grow up like that and then you marry into something totally different, you're like, no, this isn't going to work.
It doesn't
this
feel
is
right.
scary. Like,
Yeah.
Said, we were talking about the other day, you know, how you can make a lot of money at once, and then for a couple of months, something's not coming in. You're like,
right.
Well, then what do we get ourselves into? Why did we get such a high of a mortgage? And
right.
starts, getting like, I'm frightened.
Scary.
And then, you know, he thinks that I don't believe in him sometimes when I question things.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not that I don't believe in you. It's just I'm like stuck in the middle of a situation.
Exactly. And don't you feel like, so, I mean, that conversation is so familiar, not only in my household, because, you know, we've had those talks in the past as well, but in a lot of entrepreneur couples that I've met, that the husband or the entrepreneur feels like the wife doesn't believe, because she's like, where is my stability coming from right now? Because, you know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do? So that's such a common feeling between all of the spouses that I've spoke to. So what made you, like, what has been, and I'll start with you, Kris. What has been in your marriage the hardest thing, or the biggest struggle that you can think of that kind of stands out over the years together?
In regards to business specifically?
Well, just, yeah, like your business, but also how it affected your marriage, like your relationship.
Well, a couple of things come to mind. One of them is, you know, as an entrepreneur, and a lot of people watching this probably, you know, well, at least half of them would resonate with what I'm saying. Sometimes it's time to just shut up and grind, like, period. I mean, have coffee, coffee all the time around. Some days it's a 14-hour day, and then you go to bed on your damn phone, you wake up, you check your emails, and you're back at it at 6 a.m. You know, it just is what it is. And the 7, 8, 9, 12 days in a row when I'm working, you know, trying to close a mega deal, you know, 6.5 figure deal kind of thing, it's tough. You know, she's like, you never go to bed with me, you never help with the dishes, you never, like, so that's obviously stressful. And that's, you know, with as many different, as many different projects as I'm working on at all times. I mean, it's real, right? So that's been an ongoing thing. The other one that's kind of tough, and anybody who has kids could probably appreciate this. It's the I'm working. Like, you've got to, like, I can't run down there and hold the baby while you run to the bathroom or go make a sandwich. Like, I'm working. So that's really tough, because I actually choose to work from home. We're in my office right now. And I've been working from home for a long time now. So that's been the other part that's been pretty tough for me, is to the point where she's like, I would rather you leave just so that I don't have you as a crutch that I can lean on. Well, now I got to leave my office where all my things are and where I'm all set up. So that's been a little bit of a back and forth, but I think, you know, we've come to, not necessarily come to terms with it. So still fight with that crap. But I mean, the reality of it is, it's like, we're getting through, right? Like, I hate to say we're making it, but damn it, we're making it. So better than not making it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Alexis, what, before we jump over to you, to kind of elaborate on what you're saying, Kris, I think that is that rings so true with me and my husband Matt, because it's the same thing. It's like, and now that I work from home as well, it's like the kids, especially, I mean, you guys have a little one, but now that the kids are older, there's no boundaries. They don't understand that just because I'm here doesn't mean that I'm here. And then you carry that guilt along with being like, okay, like, now I feel guilty because they need me and I'm here, you know? So it's, you know, I think that you said that you're making it. I think that that's all that matters. You're just doing the best you can with the situation that you're working with. And, you know, a lot of people think that being an entrepreneur and working from home is this glamorous thing, that it's so easy that everybody wants it, but there's struggles with it as well, right? I mean, you have to kind of find your way.
Struggles. You got to be self-sustaining. You got to be determined, driven, disciplined. You know, all these things, which are hard enough on their own. And I think the boundaries aren't just necessarily with the kids; it's with the spouses.
Yeah.
Like, there's, like, if I could turn the computer, there's just a ledge right there that goes over into our living room and everything. Yeah. Hey, babe. And I'm like, yeah. You know, so it's tough, you know, and I think, and Alexis isn't an entrepreneur, so I applaud you guys too, because that would be even more tough, because each of your projects, like this project you're doing right now, each of your projects has value and needs time and love and attention, you know. So yeah, absolutely, it's it's a struggling point, but I don't think it's definitely better than what it was, I think.
Yeah, I just think you have to find your normal. You know, you have to find your way. So, Alexis, what has been tough for you over the years? Like, what has been something that you feel like you've had to, like, maybe you're still struggling with it, but something that you had to struggle through in your marriage?
Sometimes I feel like even though I want to spend quality time, because he doesn't have an office to go to, like if we go on vacation or something,
Mm-hmm.
or if like, oh, we're going to go out to eat, but then as a family, then, oh, he's on the phone outside for 15, 20 minutes,
Right.
finishing up a call or something. And like, that's what I'm struggling with. Like, I wish there was like a boundaries, like, okay, we go to eat at this time, or it's time to put her to sleep at this time. So can you set calls not in those times?
Right.
I still struggle with that. He's
Yeah.
worked and helped out a little bit by putting certain boundaries.
Dinner. I go down and cook
But
dinner about every night for the baby to bed, just about every night, stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
getting
So
better.
it's a start.
But yeah, there's just certain things that was always a struggle. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you make boundary or set times away just for us?
Right.
So sometimes I still feel like, I mean, he is trying, but sometimes I don't feel like it's like quality time. So that's been a struggle,
Right.
like having quality time and like showing me all the attention. So
Right. But you know what?
being
Makes
stingy,
sense.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, something that works for like Matt and I, because that used to be a big deal for me as well. I mean, my love language is feeling important, and so if I'm not feeling like I'm important, then I don't feel loved. And so we set intentions. Even like when we just came back from vacation, before we left, we set intentions. So what's our intentions for the trip? Like what do you need from me? What do I need from you? Like I needed him to be present. Like, because it's really easy to be like, hey, I'm just going to jump on the laptop for a few minutes. You guys go down to the pool. 4 hours later, he comes
Right.
down, and we're ready to go back upstairs. And so, it's those things. It's the communication and setting the intentions for what we need from each other. So that always, kind of works for us. But so you guys mentioned kids. Do you find that it's easier? And I'll go to you, Kris. Do you find that it's easier that having kids and being, at home, or do you find that there's struggles there as well?
Oh, it's definitely not easier having a kid at home.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, if Alexis is, at the gym or doing something like that, and I'm watching Juliana. I can't tell you probably 5, 7, 8, 10 Skype calls, daughter in my lap, playing with everything, praying I got something on my desk that'll entertain her and keep her quiet long enough, on and off a mute so they're not screaming in their ear. I mean, so that's not been easy. The fact that I work from home, there's the whole, this is our house, we're going to be as loud as we want over the thing when I'm up here trying to, hammer out a couple things. So it actually extends some projects, and it has its own set of complications. But on the other side of it, I think it's nice that I could just, break away and go down and, see them during the day. I'll go sit outside, for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let her run around, have a beer, she'll need something, right? And that's nice. That's an amenity that we wouldn't normally have with a traditional job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, it's very likely a lot harder for other people. Alexis, truly, I mean, I've told her before, she's a rock star when it comes to taking care of the baby. She'll drive her a little crazy sometimes, and that is what it is. But she's great with her, and she handles most of it, and she'll have a lot to say about it sometimes. But at the end of the day, I mean, she takes care of Juliana quite well and lets me, jam when I need to.
So, what is it like for you, Alexis, being home with the baby? Because a lot of women stay home with their kids. I mean, it is normal, but our normal is not normal, right? We're home with the kids, but our spouse is home with us, and they don't work a traditional 9 to 5 job. So at 5 o'clock, it's not like, okay, time to clock out. Now we get to be a family. So how is that? How is that with you? Like having the family all home together all day?
Well, like I was saying earlier, like the boundary. So it is hard, not knowing, like sometimes when I see some of my friends that don't have entrepreneur husbands, like, okay, they come home, at 5, like they haven't, at 5 o'clock, I want to be like, okay, time out. I've been, like, you don't like saying it's a job, but I mean, I've been with her since this morning. Like, all I want is you to play with her for an hour.
Yeah.
Or so I can cook dinner, and then like he has, like I said, help. He comes in, we do read our books, take our bath.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it is hard. Like, okay, he's might need to work a couple more. He's not working your 9 to 5 job. Like,
Right.
might be some people that he couldn't talk to during the day, and now this is their time to be able to talk if they're on the West Coast or something.
Yeah.
So I've just had to kind of try to
some of them
realize
even, we're on the phone with the Philippines, what are they, like 7, 8 hours ahead, and I got partners in Israel and then like West Coast. So it's a 15-hour spectrum, it seems like.
Right.
So sometimes people's morning is like 10 o'clock at night. So I'll try to break away and then come back up here and work from 9 to 11 sometimes or something like that. Again, that still takes away from the only little bit of time that Juliana's not awake.
Right.
Which sucks too.
Yeah. But you know what? You're doing it. I mean, you just have to find your balance, and you guys have a baby. You're a new baby. And even though she's like not brand new, but it's hard, because you have this
first time parent.
Yeah, first time parent. So you guys are doing great. So what has been an aha moment for you? Like a moment where you're like, yes, this is why we do what we do. Like, I get it. Like, this is my aha moment. And I'll start with you, Alexis. Have you had a moment where you're like, I'm so thankful, or this is why I'm glad that we are, in an entrepreneurial family?
Probably even being able to stay home with my daughter. I mean, there are a lot of people that do it, but sometimes they struggle. But since he has all these businesses and is able to let me stay here with her and be a stay-at-home mom, I think was, wow, I'm pretty lucky, even though it's been harder than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
I feel lucky about that, and being able to like go on vacation and not pick certain weeks.
Right.
Kind of, even though we go, we could go. It doesn't have to be a certain time. Like,
we leave. We're leaving for a week end of this month.
Yeah, and he can work from where we are if need to be. So it's not like, oh wow, we got to catch up, and when we come back in a week on all this,
right?
Because he can be working if I want him to.
We even did that. We even did that.
Yeah.
We went to Italy for 18 days.
Yeah.
And at the middle of the night, I would, everybody else crashed, and I'd work for 3-4 hours and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
The ability to do that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. So what?
The first world problems,
Yeah.
All bitching about. It's like.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's exactly right. I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, I mean, how lucky are we that we get to be together? I mean, we tell the kids all the time, like, we eat lunch together and things like that, and we're like, sometimes it's frustrating, because you're in each other's space all the time, and you're trying to figure things out. But gosh, how lucky are we that we get to do whatever we want to do? And
I haven't missed like the first time she walked or crawled. I was there, so
right, exactly. Well, Kris, what has been your aha moment?
There's been a number of them. I mean, I guess it really depends on what level, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's it's more than money, right? So I mean, $100,000 a day, that was badass.
Right.
That was really cool. The first time I sold a business, that was pretty cool. So from a monetary standpoint, there's been some serious milestones.
Right.
I spent 9 years in the gym industry, and speaking of an aha moment, one of the aha moments was one of the members, came up and, had a word with me, and it was like, hey, when you stop moving forward, you start moving backward, and the owner's not going to give you the gym.
Right.
And I was a GM at that point, youngest one in the whole state, actually. But I was like, damn, that's okay. So then I put in my 2 weeks after like 7 years.
Wow.
And so as far as an aha moment, that was relatively impactful.
Yeah.
You put in the 2 weeks, bailed. That was back in 2008. So that was definitely an aha moment. On the negative side, we Alexis and I, when we were dating, we split up for about 6 months. That was an aha moment.
Yeah.
when we got back together, went to counseling, and actually the same lady ended up marrying us, which was kind of cool because
That's cool.
she could do that. But so there's been a number of them.
Yeah.
My a major aha moment was 1 year ago yesterday, and I ruptured my appendix unknowingly. Waited a week and went into the doctor, and he's like, "I'm not gonna lie to you, you might not make it through this."
Wow.
I had about a 1 in 3 chance, he said, which, obviously I'll take 66% all day long. I put a lot of money on less odds than that, but
yeah.
Not when it comes to your life. And that was an aha moment, big time, when it comes to priorities, focus, family.
Yeah.
I actually had a big slide as far as from a financial perspective during that time. But it's okay. The whole 2 steps backward to go forward kind of thing.
Yeah.
I had experienced some of that, and then really, you're laying there thinking about some of the things you're thinking about, and I won't go into it just because it's hard, but put you in a perspective in it big time. So that was a major aha moment, which ironically since then, a number of things have started to develop, and the passive income streams have been doubling, quadrupling, things like that. So things happen for a reason.
Absolutely. I think that's beautiful because I am a strong believer that God closes doors or makes things happen to kind of give you clarity and put things in perspective. And sometimes it's really difficult. But, I love that is one of your aha moments. That's really
the biggest. It was one of the biggest moments.
So you guys give me an example or give some advice to I've been in contact recently with newly married couples that the husband or wife is an entrepreneur and they're just kind of embarking on this journey together. So what kind of advice would you give them? And I'll start with you, Alexis, as far as like to help them in their journey.
Communicate. I mean, communication obviously is a big key in life in general, in every aspect, but you have to communicate and just stand by each other and know that there's going to be hard times, and you just have to stand by each other and make sure you're like inspiring them to keep on doing what they're doing. And but communication, like communicate about your feelings before you get like so angry about certain aspects and then you blow up. You have to, as soon as you start seeing that maybe this is bothering you about a certain situation, that's all I can say really, because I'm bad about holding things in and just letting it until
I'm the same way. I'll hold it in and then he'll like move my water bottle. I'm like, what are you thinking? And he's like,
yeah, exactly.
I just moved your water bottle. Yeah. So that's awesome. Good. Well, what about you, Kris? What advice would you give?
I have a lot. So hopefully you don't mind.
No, yeah, please share.
Always plan for the worst case scenario. I have literally made $1 million in 3 different industries and lost it the first couple times.
Yeah.
Shit goes wrong. Get ready. So obviously, plan for the worst case scenario. One of the things that's worked very well for me is diversification. Mm-hmm. Some of the investments I had failed, others took off, right? So from a diversification standpoint, like be prepared to take a chunk of what you do and invest it. It'll matter long term. Taxes. From a tax perspective, some of the most stressful times we had was when we thought we were just, kicking ass and taking names, and then Uncle Sam comes banging, wants his third or more, and so that's a scenario. So that's from the financial side of it. From the other side of it, read. Mm-hmm. Enjoy books, like read, there were books that we would read together and things like that aren't just Gary Vaynerchuk grind for me and, sparks for her. Like you'd find some books in the middle, that we could read and find activities that you can do together that don't bore the other one's face off. Like I don't care about shoes and she doesn't care about internet marketing, right? So we had to kind of find something in the middle that we'd both be relatively interested in.
Right.
that's obviously finding some common ground is super important. And from the guy's perspective, because that's obviously the one I know the most. I don't know anything what the hell's going on here. Apparently, that's what we're here. But I would say, don't just think that what your opinion is right. That's something I've fought with a lot. Like, what I'm doing is the most important thing, and what I'm talking about is the most important thing, and I don't have time for anything else because I'm focused on this thing. Like, that's BS.
Right.
Straight. And I don't care what level you're on. So that's something that I think a lot of people should pay attention to. And that would be some good advice as well, because the other person, that what she's talking about is very important to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to show that some of the same attention as we do the other projects. Time management was a huge piece for me. I'm still working on, as we heard a minute ago. But time management is very important. Yeah, I think just those 12 things or whatever.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff. I think that's awesome, because it all works together, all of it. I mean, the financial aspect affects the family, the emotional aspect affects the family. It all kind of, is the perfect storm. So I think you guys are great and wonderful and sweet. Alexis, you look and seem like such a doll. But I think that you guys are doing such a great job, and I appreciate you being on the show and being real, because a lot of times people see the success, they see the end story, and they're like, gosh, Kris is so successful, but they don't really understand what it took to get there. And it's good to kind of pull back the curtains and say, like, this is what it takes. I mean, it's not just about the business. There's a family that goes with the business. And I love that you guys were so real with me today. And so I appreciate you, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
One last thing, and this is something I left out that I actually recently became aware of, and that's having a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And especially in business, and also with family too, which more recently I have been, my eyes have been open to. But doing things with purpose, anything that has a purpose bigger than yourself attached to it, you're exponentially more likely to reach extraordinary levels of success. Obviously we talked about the camo cookie project I do.
Yeah.
Super passionate about the military and the troops and supporting the people that just totally grind for us all day with absolutely zero recognition, it seems like. But that particular project, I did it because I wanted to have something I could be passionate about.
Yeah.
Well, the doors that have opened from that were incredible. The people I've met are incredible. The places I've been. Shared a stage with Grant Cardone the other day, speaking in Fort Bragg up in North Carolina. So I mean, I think when you start to align yourself from a very grateful position and place, big and very cool things happen. So that'd be the final piece of advice I have.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I talk about it all the time, like stepping into your greatness, like going with your purpose and finding something that you're passionate about is a beautiful thing. So thank you guys again. I know that you're going to do great things. I'm going to Facebook stalk you to death. So you guys,
and I talk a lot, so you'll find me there. It's all good.
I love it. You guys have a great afternoon, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.